At the district championship game, I took the ball and charged through the defense on my own. Just as I was about to reach the end zone, I launched myself forward with everything I had, colliding hard with the defender. Touchdown, we won the championship that day, but the hit left me disabled for life. From that moment on, I was no longer the best quarterback in the state. Instead, I became a disabled man scraping by, collecting scrap metal just to make ends meet. Meanwhile, my former teammates were pulling in 7 figures a year, living lives I could only dream about. It ate at me constantly. I'd think to myself, if I just made a different call that day, maybe things would have turned out differently. But I had something to hold on to. I had a wife who stood by me through it all, and 2 wonderful, thoughtful daughters. My family was the one thing that kept me going. Wanting to give them a better life, I took out a $700,000 loan from the bank and bought a 3,000-acre farm to grow soybeans. I thought it was finally my shot at turning things around, until the temperature dropped without warning and the entire crop froze in the field. If I didn't harvest in time, every dollar I'd put in would be gone. I was falling apart. Then my wife reminded me that our old coach had a combine harvester. Her calm steadied me, and I got my head back on straight. The next morning, I borrowed the harvester and got to work. But barely minutes in, a piece of wood jammed the gears and killed the machine. I rushed to find a repair shop, only to discover that the only one in town had already shut down. I felt hollowed out. Then the freezing rain started. That was it. The rest of the soybeans were gone. The $700,000 debt would go unpaid. The bank would auction off our house. My family would end up on the streets. I couldn't let that happen to them. I grabbed an old rag, stuffed it into the exhaust pipe of my car, turned the key, and floored the gas, letting the fumes fill the cabin. I told myself it would look like an accident. My wife would get the insurance payout. At least they'd be taken care of. But just as I was fading out, someone called my name outside the window. I pushed open the door, and standing there was a classmate from high school, a face I hadn't seen in decades. Then I noticed my left leg. It was fine, completely fine. It was as if everything had rewound 20 years. Before I could even process what was happening, a teammate was already hollering at me to get to practice. When I stepped back onto the field, I could barely believe it. After the snap, I just stood there frozen until I got tackled and the sharp pain in my chest made it undeniable. This wasn't a dream. I was really back 20 years in the past. Once I found my footing, I became that quarterback again, the best in the state. Light on my feet, sharp with every move, I took the ball all the way in myself, letting out emotions I've been carrying for years. And then I saw her, my wife, standing on the sidelines. I shouted her name. She didn't respond. She didn't know me yet, but I knew I would find my way back to her. And this time, I was going to give her a life she deserved.